close your eyes and imagine the sound of the waves, the creaking of a wooden ship rocking gently on the water, the distant cry of a gull echoing across the endless sea. Now imagine yourself as a pirate, free, fearless, and wild. That is the story we have always been told, but the truth is not the same. Behind the legends of gold and glory lies a life full of hunger, sickness, fear, and pain. Tonight, let us uncover the forgotten truth of why it truly sucked to be a pirate. Stay with me as we sail slowly into the dark reality of the pirate's world. The idea of pirates has always been wrapped in the mist of legend. We often imagine them standing proudly on the deck of their ship with the wind in their hair, a sword at their side, and treasure chests hidden below. But the truth was very far from the stories we have been told. The real life of a pirate was not glorious. It was not full of adventure. It was not freedom. It was hunger. It was sickness. It was pain. And it was fear. When men became pirates, they did not do so because they wanted a grand life. Most of them were poor sailors, abandoned by the Navy, cheated by their captains, or simply desperate men with no place left to go. Some were escaped slaves. Others were criminals, looking for a last chance at survival. Their ships were not floating castles, but wooden prisons, small, dirty, and filled with suffering. The smell of sweat, the stench of unwashed bodies, the odor of rotting food, and damp, moldy wood followed them everywhere. Clothes were not changed for weeks, even months. Men lived and died in filth. The food was terrible. Most days, they ate something called hardtack. It was nothing more than a biscuit made of flour and water, baked until it became so hard it could break teeth. To eat it, they had to soak it in dirty water or cheap rum before chewing. And even then, it was often crawling with worms and maggots. Fresh meat was almost unknown. Vegetables and fruits spoiled quickly. Without them, pirates suffered from scurvy. Their gums bled, their teeth fell out, their bodies became weak, and their skin turned pale. The water they carried was stored in wooden barrels. After a few weeks, it turned green, slimy, and foul-smelling. Sometimes, the only choice was to drink rum, not out of joy, but because it was safer than the water meant to keep them alive. Disease was everywhere. The decks were crawling with rats, with lice, and with fleas. Pirates slept in hammocks, soaked with sweat, that were never washed. If a man was cut, the wound quickly rotted. There were no real doctors, only shipmates, with knives and saws. If a leg was broken, if a finger was crushed, the only cure was to cut it off. There was no anesthesia, only rum to numb the pain and cloth to bite down on while the saw cut through flesh and bone. Many men did not survive the treatment. More died from fever and infection than from bullets or sword fights. And yet, death was always close. Storms rose without warning, tearing the sails, breaking the masts, and sinking ships within minutes. The ocean was beautiful, but it was merciless. And when pirates fought, it was not like the movies. It was blood. It was screams. It was chaos. Gunpowder filled the air. Cutlasses clashed. Cannons roared. And men were torn apart. Those who survived were often scarred for life. But even if they escaped battle, they could not escape the law. Navy ships hunted them, day and night, and when they were caught, there was no mercy. Pirates were dragged, in chains, to the port. They were paraded through the streets, spat upon, beaten, and finally hanged in public. Sometimes their bodies were left to rot as a warning to others. This was the pirate's reward, not treasure, not freedom, but a slow death in the eyes of the world. And as for treasure, it was mostly a myth. Yes, pirates sometimes captured gold, but most of the time, their loot was far less exciting. Barrels of sugar, sacks of grain, bundles of cloth, and cheap wine. There were no endless chests of coins, no secret islands of jewels, only small, desperate thefts to survive another day. And so, the dream of riches remained just that, a dream. At night, when the ship was quiet and the waves rocked the hammocks, pirates must have wondered how long they could survive. The stars above them looked cold and distant. The sea stretched endlessly, and their lives were short. Most pirates did not live long. They died young, they died poor, and they died forgotten. The ocean became their grave, with no stone, no name, no memory. So when we think of pirates, let us not remember the legends of adventure, the false glory of treasure maps and hidden gold. Let us remember the truth. Being a pirate was not freedom. It was suffering. It was hunger. It was disease. It was fear. It was death. And so, the legend of pirates fades away. No golden treasure, no endless freedom, only short lives of suffering and fear. The sea took their bodies, the world forgot their names, and all that remains are stories told in whispers, stories far darker than we ever imagined. If you stayed with me until this moment, perhaps you have felt the weight of their lives. And if you wish to hear more forgotten stories, more slow journeys through history's shadows, then do one simple thing: subscribe, so you will not miss the next story that waits in the silence of the night. Now, let your eyes grow heavy, let your mind drift, and let the waves of sleep carry you away. Good night and farewell.